Back at Six Flags Over Texas. Last time I was here was New Year's Day. And 3 years in the making, Aquaman is finally open. Today is, quote, opening day, although it's been open for 2 weeks. So planning to come down here for opening day, and everyone's already ridden it. Aquaman's not going to open till noon, so came over and did Batman the Ride because Mr. Freeze is closed. See, Mr. Freeze is down, looks like, at least for the start of today. Judge Roy has been down forever. Joker, which I don't really care about, it's been down forever. Runaway Mine Train has been down forever. So over 3 years ago, I took video of this track, which was completed at the time. And here we are. Still not officially open, although it's been running for 2 weeks.
3, 2, 1, and here we go!
Last 3 new coaster credits have been significant ones here in Texas. $5.99 on Dr. Diabolical Cliffhanger, $600 on Perry's Screamer, and $601 on Aquaman. And this ride is kind of special to finally get on because even though this was not the most significant new for 2020 ride, it still
that's what we love to hear.
Is the last one to finally open.
Release, exit.
Several 2020 roller coasters did open in 2020. Some opened in 2022, all the SeaWorld and Busch Gardens ones. But this one, the final one to open, finally.
Riders behind you and watch out, please. Silver gates are now closing. Riders, you want to dig out those arms up because this train they're coming down in 3, 2, 1.
The last 2020 coaster to finally open, 3 years late. Better late than never.
There are no loose items allowed on this ride.
I've already ridden it twice.
All bags, backpacks, fanny packs, cups.
Line is not long. Single rider line right now will take you way longer. So it's going to be one of those that the single rider line is going to be worse, or it could be. Check out how many people are in line for the single rider line before you get into it, because it may take you longer.
Enjoy your ride.
I just got evac'd off of Aquaman. My 3rd lifetime evac. I've been evac'd off of Frontier City's Wildcat twice, and now Aquaman. But with Frontier City, it was on that final little stretch before the dip into the station. And here it was on the outside of the turntable. For some reason, they couldn't get it turned around to come back into the station. So we got to ride, we just got evac'd off the end. No big deal. We're sitting out there for about 10, 15 minutes at most. Not really that big of a deal. But they still gave us a one-time use flash pass. So I got 7 laps on Aquaman. It did have a short breakdown in the middle, like I think after my 2nd ride, it had a very short breakdown. And now this one might take a little longer. Because the first one they didn't have to evac, this one they did. So 7 rides, it was 4 in the front row, 1 in row 2, 1 in row 4, and 1 in the back. The back row is the best. The back row gets a little bit going up that curve, up that lip at the end of the backwards part. So you get a little bit more airtime with that. But it's a great ride all around. Even though it's pretty simple, it's a lot of fun. I liked it a lot more than I thought I would. And you do get drenched if you're in the front row. You get pretty wet in every row, but the front row really gets drenched. and 4 of my rides are in the front row. They are assigning seats. I don't know if maybe in the future they might allow people to wait for a row, but not right now. Early on, the regular line was short and the single rider line was huge. And then here lately, the regular line got long and the single rider line got super short. So I think the last 4 or 5 rides, the last 4 rides I did single rider. And a thanks to whoever did this. Someone was handing these out at the exits. Not to everybody. I think he saw me riding a bunch and went ahead and gave me one. I don't think it was someone with the park. I think it was someone who does this on his own and decided to make this up and hand them out to some people while he still had them. And I almost lost it because it's so windy. That huge wind gust came right before I started filming and ripped it right out of my hands. I was lucky to get it back. And Shockwave just as great as ever. Always riding in the back car. It is insane the airtime that you get on those 2 tiny drops over there. And New Texas Giant, it is hauling today. That was probably the best ride I've ever had on it. And I've ridden it over 100 times now. It was hauling in the first half, and then the mid-course did not catch at all. We just flew right through the mid-course. That second half was insane. I can see why people would call it the weakest RMC, because I've had some days where it was riding like that, but not today. Today it is not the weakest RMC. Sign looks lit up. I got one more ride on Aquaman and it went down again.
Harder!
May not be the strongest air time on the ride at those last few hills, but it's doing better than it usually does. And this line, maybe a half hour. For Saturday night, I'll take it. I used my one-time flash pass on Mr. Freeze. It finally reopened and I got on it. I wanted to use my flash pass on this because you never know how long it'll operate before it breaks down again. When it's having a day like this, some days you're here and this will operate fine all day long. Other days like today, it breaks down all the time. So with the line long, it had just reopened and it formed a huge line real quick. So I used my one-time flash pass. That was a good use of it. The line may have only taken about 45 minutes, but it'll probably break down before I would have gotten on. Well, tomorrow I will not be here after sunset, especially since tomorrow sun will be setting an hour later than today. But I usually have to leave about 3 o'clock or so on Sundays anyway. I can get Titan, New Texas Giant, and the tower in the shot. Well, Mr. Freeze lasted 35 minutes, then it broke down. It goes through times like that. Like I said, some days it'll operate all day long, no problem, and then other days it'll be like it's been this weekend. You're lucky to get a half hour of operations before it breaks down. But I got 3 rides in that half hour, and I was just about to get on for a 4th ride, but that's when it broke down. I could stick around, try to get more, but I'll be happy with the 3 rides. Head over to New Texas Giant. Hopefully it doesn't have a long line yet. I met a nice family on Superman and rode with them. Actually got a re-ride with them on New Texas Giant. I had ridden once and then they were waiting to get on the next train, party of 3, so they let me stay on and ride with them. Then I came back and rode again, so 3 rides today, 2 rides yesterday. I'll be good with that. I timed it out yesterday, 1 minute and 4 seconds from drop to final brakes. This morning, 1 minute and 5 seconds. but it feels like it's hauling. I'll have to check that. It may not be an airtime based hyper, but it's got a lot of speed, it's super smooth and very intense.
Padres, por favor, asegurar que sus niños mantengan los 48 pulgadas de alto que es el dorsal. Una vez que desciendan, por favor, bajarse el agua y agarrarse fuerte y disfruten su paseo.
Isn't this a sight for sore eyes? Judge Roy's Scream is open. How many months has it been since this thing's been open? Oh, this is so great. I love it. I haven't ridden this in almost 2 years. It's always closed when I come. Although last year I was here for the baseball games and I saw it operating from the hotel. I was about to go to the baseball game. They opened it after I left. And that's the only time I've seen it operating or heard of it operating over the last, I think, 2 years. I'm sure it's been open at some points, but every time I've checked, it's always been closed. I did a couple rides. I did the next to last row, then I waited for the back row, and it is so worth it to do the back row. It's amazing how much of a difference one row can make. Normally, I wouldn't recommend a wheel seat on a wood coaster. It is rougher back there, but it is worth it because the airtime is dramatically better with just a 1 seat difference. So Judge Roy, back row all the way. That could be the 4th best ride in the park if you ride in the back row. And of course I'm talking about best ride. I like Titan more, but this is such an underrated wood coaster. And a lot of people don't know how to get to it. In case you're wondering, yes, that's a road. That is the entry road going over the pathway. So you got to come out here towards Sky Screamer, a little bit short of that, and go under the road. So that'll do it from Six Flags Over Texas on this visit over Scream Break. I did not do any of the scary stuff. It is an extra cost to stay later and do that. I'm not interested in that kind of stuff. I don't do it whenever it's included with your park admission during Halloween time, so wouldn't be interested in it now. The problem with Scream Break is that there really is no live entertainment. There's a couple of DJs, there's a dance party before the park opens, but that's really it. I remember Fiesta Texas a couple years ago having a lot of live entertainment for spring break. I don't know if they had any here, but there's none here this year. Their budget for that kind of stuff all went to the scary stuff. But that'll do it from Six Flags Over Texas for this visit. Glad I got on Aquaman. Got plenty of rides in. Got a lot done. Most importantly, got on Aquaman and got a good experience on that. Didn't ride it today. A little too chilly today. It's in the 60s.